Gen Z nostalgia. Man, growing up in the 2010s, there is so much that we got to experience. I mean, think of it. It's a pretty big flex to say we were the first generation to grow up with iPads. Now, whenever I think about growing up back then, I just realize how unmatched it is. Like, sure, our parents grew up in the 80s or 90s listening to punk rock and partying all day, but did they get to experience watching Markiplier beat all Five Nights and Five Nights at Freddy's? I don't think so. So in this video, which I guess could be considered a part 2 for this one, I'm going to be covering even more Gen Z nostalgia because I feel like there's so much more I can talk about. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the school book fair. This was the equivalent of Christmas in school. Whenever you were sitting down in class and your teacher started handing around the little flyers for the school book fair, you immediately knew it was going to be a good week. Because in my elementary and middle school, they would always give the flyers around 3 to 5 days before the actual book fair started. So everyone would be opening the magazines and looking for books that they want, and then they would circle it with a marker. But the one book that everybody was looking for in specific was the new Captain Underpants book and the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Those were the holy grails. But I'll talk more about that in a bit. So, you know, after everybody circled what they wanted, everybody would go home and ask their parents for money, you know, so they could buy the book that they wanted. Me personally, I never got money for the book fair. One of the reasons being because every year for Christmas, I would get the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid book, which is reasonable. But otherwise, I never understood how come I wasn't able to have money for the book. To me, it seemed totally unfair because while all my friends and everybody else in class was buying books and posters that they wanted, I couldn't get anything. I was sitting there looking at an eraser. But the older I got, the more I realized, oh wow. Yeah, my parents had every right not to give me any. Because now that I'm older, I realize how badly they were taxing at these book fairs. Like, do you remember the posters they would have? At my school, they would usually have one Five Nights at Freddy's poster, one Minecraft poster, and one poster of a sports car. Yeah, guess how much those posters were? $25. Yeah, I wish I was lying too. $25 for a colored printout of a Ferrari. And I swear, I remember the quality of these images not being the best either. Which is probably why they kept them so high up so no kid could see them. I would not be surprised that if I bought that poster, there would probably be like a Getty Images watermark on it. Which absolutely should not be the case, especially if I'm spending an astounding Scrooge McDuck amount of gold on it. They were taxing a heavy amount on the books too, though. And I think something else they did on purpose also is keep a limited amount of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Because they must have known that every single kid is going to dash directly to the table with Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like, aw, we can't get Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Here's Big Nate. Who is reading Big Nate? I actually was reading Big Nate. I thought it was pretty good. Next up, we're talking about video games. Now, video games back then were so good. I don't know if it's just that we grew up, or if there's actually been a serious downgrade for video games, but when I hop on a video game now and play with my friend, it doesn't feel the same really. Something about playing Black Ops 2 Zombies with the homie at a sleepover just hit incredibly different. Nothing will ever be able to beat that. Like when I was at my friend's house for a sleepover, at around 9-10 p.m. is when we would turn on his Xbox 360 and start running zombies. And bro, we would turn off the lights to do this, and let me tell you, it was pretty nerve-wracking. One time me and my friends were left home alone because their parents went over to go for dinner, so it was just us in the dark playing zombies. And when you would hear that awful laugh late at night, after you know exactly what laugh I'm talking about. The one that goes, what am I doing? You also had Minecraft. Again, it very well could just be that we grew up, but Minecraft just doesn't feel the same anymore. Ever since the entire Dream SMP came in with Minecraft and everything, it just has felt empty almost, like an entirely new community has taken it over, which it honestly is what happened, but that's not a bad thing. You know, I just want to say for the record, I'm an OG Minecraft player. I remember when horses were added. You know, at the time, the most popular maps that were out there were the Dan TDM lab maps and also the giant city map. Don't even get me started on Herobrine. Everyone was doing the netherrack and gold totem thingy, you know, trying to summon him. And bro, I'm not gonna lie, I was so scared of Herobrine. You know, I'd be playing Minecraft on my Amazon tablet. I would build the totem, but would be too scared to actually activate it. But then, when I finally got the courage to light the totem, my heart was beating. I was so scared as to what was gonna happen. I lit the totem and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. You know why? Because Herobrine is not real. It is a big wig. I don't think anything will ever beat Prime Fortnite. I know that sounds cringe. Well, technically, Fortnite is... Yes, I know. But the first few seasons were immaculate. It was some of the most fun I've ever had on a video game in my life. You know, it was a completely new game and it was different from PUBG. You could build things. So when this entire new video game came out, so many people were playing it. It's just one of those things where you truly needed to be there in order to understand. And I know, you know, well, technically speaking, Fortnite is cringe. Yes, it is. There's no arguing that. But you just have to believe me. Please, please believe me. Movies. We grew up with some of the most iconic movies ever. I mean, think about it. We grew up with Ratatouille, The Incredibles, Cars, WALL-E, Finding Nemo. Personally, I really don't think that people who grew up nowadays are gonna be saying, wow, do you remember how good the Snow White remake was? Like, nah, bro. Literally nobody is going to be saying that. Nah, there's no way. You know, Cars is still my favorite movie to this day, unironically. Yes, I know the story is flawed and the animation may be a little bit outdated, but Cars was the coolest thing back in the day. Okay, not only is Lightning McQueen one of the coolest protagonists ever, but he was also a car, which could be converted into a toy. I see what you were doing there, Pixar. I said this in my video about toys, but I had an entire collection of all the Cars characters. I remember one year when I was younger, my parents ended up getting me a boxed set of Toy Story 1 and 2. And bro, those movies were so good. And I deserve a veteran's discount now because I can say I watched Toy Story 3 in theaters. And wow, that movie came out almost 15 years ago, which just makes me feel really old. But then you had other classic movies like Monsters, Inc. I am not even going to argue on this. Monsters, Inc. is one of the best movies with one of the best endings. But then, you know, you have The Incredibles, starting off with one of the best intro songs, you know, but nowadays, you know, they're putting out movies like Toy Story 5. Why does there need to be a number 5? I really don't know, man. Hey, want another video to watch? Click this playlist here. It has every single one of my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and to all of my lovely subscribers.